I spent $40,000 on a business mastermind, and it set me back more than a year in my financial goals and in my business. I don't want you to make the same mistake. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the guilt and the shame that we as women business owners feel about investing in things like masterminds and coaching. So before we even get in, the first thing I just want to express is that if you're a solopreneur, and listen, most businesses start that way. You start as a solopreneur. If you're a solopreneur, you don't know a lot of things, and you do have to give yourself a little bit of grace when it comes to what you actually know. You are gonna make mistakes, and all of that can lead to a lot of insecurity. And then when you're on the internet, will have you believe that coaches and Instagram gurus and even YouTube gurus are exactly the answer to all of your insecurities. And the truth is, you don't really need another coaching program. You don't need a high ticket mastermind. You don't need any of those bells and whistles in order to grow your business. Trust me, I learned the hard way. So the first thing you have to do before doing anything else is recognize that you are at the starting gate, and that is totally okay. So all of this came up for me. You can see I'm sitting in my little meditation corner this morning, and I was really reflecting on that guilty feeling that I should be further ahead than I am. And there have been some distinct times that I remember spending money on my business and feeling sick to my stomach about spending the money. And if I really look back, that $40,000 mastermind program I told you off the top was one of those times when I felt pressure from external sources to spend the money. And it was like a status symbol. People who I consulted about joining the program, they would say things like, you're not really spending the money on the quality of the program, you're spending the money to be in the room. And there was something about that just deep inside, if I got really still, didn't align with me. And I remember being in that program. It was co-hosted by two coaches who I realized afterwards were not actually certified. And I remember her telling me that in order to grow my business, I had to be on TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. I don't do TikTok. I am over 40. I don't dance. This was when the platform had first just started and everyone was just dancing and doing trendy things. And I thought, no, I'm a serious business owner. I want to be on platforms where I can have actual conversations. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with TikTok, it's just not my vibe. And it didn't sit right that I was spending nearly $4,000 a month to be in this program. I was getting maybe 10 minutes a month of attention because it was always hot seat coaching. And her advice to me was to get on TikTok when I wasn't on TikTok at all. In retrospect, she should have said, be on YouTube. If I had started on YouTube 4 years ago, I'd be 4 years ahead of where I am now. It was one of those moments when my advice to you would be listen to your gut. I should have bailed on that program earlier. And in fact, I did end up bailing and moving over to just straight up one-to-one coaching with the coach that I did actually like. But at the end of the day, it still wasn't aligned. And that was a money decision I made out of guilt. Mistake number one was not building up my ability to be resilient and self-source my own knowledge. So know that I am at the beginning, I'm going to make mistakes and learn how to deal with that. Mistake number two was then allowing external pressures to not force me, but there was pressure to spend that money. So if I was to go back and do it all again, I wouldn't join a mastermind. Frankly, that is more than somebody's salary a year until I was making gobs and gobs of money. Here's the other thing you need to know is that now that I am making really good money, I'm like, there's better ways for me to spend that. I have a coach. She's really reasonably priced. She's incredible. It fits in my business. It fits in my life. I can go to her with almost anything related to the business and growth. It's awesome. And the price of that coaching service is not breaking my back. It is actually really uplifting, and I feel like I get a lot of value for it. The money that I would spend on my business is on marketing, is on self-improvement. And I think a lot of the times coaching programs are positioned as this is going to build your business, but what it really is a mask for a self-improvement program from someone who is not qualified to help you with that kind of work. So this is just a morning reflection that I need to give myself grace and compassion for having made that mistake, for having spent all that money, and now I know better. And hopefully you do too. So red flag warnings are you feeling really uneasy with spending the money on a coaching program. Red flag moments are getting advice in that coaching program that you know is not aligned with what it is that you do. Red flag moments would be when you get the sense that you are just being put into a container and you aren't actually being seen as an individual by somebody who takes the time to really understand your business. Red flag moments is when the cost of the program justifiably could be one person's entire salary and you yourself do not have salaried employees on your team. That's what I would say to you. Now, what I say to us, we who have invested in these programs, spent tens of thousands of dollars, and felt frankly duped on the other side, is that now it's time to just forgive. Forgiveness is the key to all of this. Forgiveness is how you move forward. Forgiveness is how I had the courage to sit down in my meditation corner and turn on the camera this morning and share this with you. And forgiveness is how I look at my spreadsheets and I don't see a deficit there. I see opportunity to grow my wealth, to increase my freedom capacity, and that I'm not going to make that mistake again. Sure, I could say if I had that $40,000 back, I would absolutely be more than a year closer to my Coast Fire goals than I am right now. As I've said in other videos, I really only started making really good money in my late 30s. I was not one of these people who had a six-figure corporate job, had a bank account full of cash, and then quit and said I didn't have a net. When I walked away from my job, I had never had more than 4 figures in my bank account at any given time. I'm just like, I was not rich and then quit to get richer. I was scraping by and quit in order to figure it out. And if you are like me, and I know many of you are, then the best advice I can give you, just being a few steps ahead of you, is to give yourself grace, to listen to your body, to surround yourself with people who you trust, and try to avoid what I call confirmation bias. So that's what happened with me with these investments is I went to people who were already drinking the Kool-Aid and asked them if I should spend the money. And they were like, of course you should spend the money. And now I look back at them and I see they're sharing about how much debt they're in. They're sharing about that in order to get to the next level, they have to spend $100,000 on a coaching program. That's just the way it is. And it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a lot of other ways for you to spend that money in the early days of your business in order to actually have it grow and build the freedom that it is that you want. So maybe I'll do another video on that. If you would like to have a video talking about how I would deploy $40,000 in the early days of a business, drop a comment below and I'll add it to the calendar to do a video on that as well. I'm also thinking that I should do a video kind of outlining the other big mistakes that I made out of the gate, because I made many mistakes and spending money on masterminds was just one of them. Anyway, that is my meditation coffee chat for today. Thanks so much for being here, and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Right now, I am still on track to push videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The truth is I might shift Wednesdays to short form drops because it occurred to me that clients are gonna start coming my way more readily, so YouTube might have to shift, but for now we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Podcast drops on Thursday. All of the links to everything relevant is in the description box below, including any related videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon. Bye.